Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. Today is October 23rd. The Rollings Gold Glove Finalists have been announced, and your third baseman, Key Brian Hayes, is one of them. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
Hey, man. How we doing?
Going good. This postseason is nuts.
Yeah, it is.
The Phillies are nuts.
It's crazy. Dude, Bryce Harper is on another level. This is why we need to get Mike Trout in the playoffs.
Seriously, yeah.
Right? This is the first time that Bryce Harper's made it past the first round.
Yeah, and this kind of shows why he is worth the money.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people saying he's not, right?
You know what I would like to know? All those people that when I went to PNC Park when the Phillies were in town, and all the Phillies fans behind me were chanting overrated while he was hitting. Wonder what they have to say.
They got their foot is stuck in their mouth right now. Because this is the kind of stuff that a player like him is capable of doing.
Yeah.
And it's like that with all, like, he's been around the center of this because the people who love him.
Right.
And the people who hate him. Overrated. Yeah. Worst overrated. I saw a tweet that said that somebody retweeted, which is really good, that just says, he is the most overrated player of our generation. And then they went on to say, not worth, what do you get, $300 million? Not even worth 10 years. And so, like, then somebody replied to that, it didn't age well. Like, here we are. The thing is about money is, I don't care what you think. Your baseball reference page does not say how much you're worth when it comes to an actual dollar amount.
Right.
I mean, there's part of it there, right? But the part of it is that Bryce Harper brings fans to the stadium. 100%. Therefore, they're making money off of you. And that's the whole thing about the baseball players and how much money they're making is if the industry makes more money, then the players should be getting their share of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as much as baseball players make, individuals, the market share is not. I'm pretty sure that the players make more of the percentage of revenue in the NFL than they do in the MLB. If you know what I mean? Like if you just look at revenue coming in and what percentage goes to what, that's why everybody who says, "Hey, put a salary cap in," this is why. Because then you get your cut of the revenue. And if revenue goes up, then salary cap goes up. If revenue goes down, the player's salary goes down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's the whole point of that. But the idea is that obviously there's no salary cap in baseball, but there is still like shares. And when you look at the percentage of the value and blah 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 blah. Point is, Bryce Harper brings people to the stadium. People buy Bryce Harper stuff. Mm-hmm. He's making them, regardless of if he's an awful player, if people came just to see this terrible player, he's still worth money because he's still making you money.
Right.
And now he's making you money by sending you to the World Series with an MVP.
I do say I was pulling hard for the Padres in that series.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who works in the video production for the Padres. So, I mean, they win the World Series. He probably gets a ring for that.
Yeah.
It goes all the way through the organization.
Yeah. Was there anybody in that series this year that's getting that's going to the World Series either way? Has there ever been like a guy who got a ring and lost in the World Series? We're going to look that up for next week to see if there's anybody, whether it's probably going to be Houston, So let's say if there's anybody that played, if it's Houston, if there's anybody who played for Houston and Philadelphia this year, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy. You know, it would be even better if they played for both, but they don't play for either, and they're just sitting back. I'm getting a ring, baby. I don't care who wins. I'm getting a ring. He's already emailed the guys from both teams, like, here's my ring size. This is great. I wonder if I'm going to look that up this week and see if there's anybody lean back in their recliner with a big smile on their face saying, I don't have to do anything.
No pressure on me.
No
bud.
pressure on me. No, but I mean, like, oh my gosh, it's been a lot of. So I have a buddy, close friend, who's a Phillies fan, grew up right outside of Philly. So he's just texting me all the time, and he's beyond jacked right now, and like a true Philly fan, he's had a hard time enjoying it. And like, I talked to him this morning and he's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for today, 'cause I really think they should win today, 'cause if they don't, I'm pretty sure they're going to lose. And I'm just like, man, you're so Philly, man. Like, you just can't enjoy anything without thinking they're going to blow it. And the Yankees, what was it? Yankee ticket sales for Game 4 went from $200 and some to $20 today for this game that's going on right now as we're recording. It's a 4-4 tie in the fifth, but like, they went down to $20 because they couldn't sell out, because they're done. I'm not going to watching this bum team lose. And I'm thinking, like, American League Championship Series? No, not in New York. World Series, or that was a bad year.
Yep.
Which, like, when does that die down? You haven't won it a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Not a long time. What is it? 2009?
2009?
Does that sound right? We both guessed the same one, which I'm guessing that means that they've done a really good job of telling us the last time the Yankees won the World Series. 2009 was the last time. Like, of course we know that, because the media cares about the New York Yankees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's fitting that's what we know. But it's probably going to be Houston. 3-0 game lead. It's tied right now. I mean, but after this game, it goes, well, no, there's one more game in New York, right? No, there's one more game in New York. They're already can't sell out for Game 4, and there's going to be a Game 5 there. I don't see. I mean, it's happened.
What, once?
I don't know, but the point is it's happened.
The Red Sox did it to the Yankees?
Shohei's happening right now, and that's never happened, so it can happen.
Hey, it can happen.
So the thing is, I just don't think that this Yankees team is the team that's going to do it.
No.
They're just not impressing me.
Yeah.
And, the most painful thing about this is that, like, Houston didn't impress me against the Mariners. They barely won games against the Mariners. And I thought the Mariners were good. They could have been there. They were in all 3 games. All 3 games, because they were swept in 3. They were in all 3. They could have went either way. And these games have been very similar. What was the second game was, you know what? I actually have these. We plan on talking about this last, but we're talking about right now. 5-0 in the game last night. So that was like that was the one game that, like, Houston actually blew a team away, if you want to call it that. Everything else has been 1 or 2 runs. And really, it's been like, that game could have went either way.
Yeah, but I can't get over how the entire Houston Astros team is clutch. Everyone on the team.
Every single person on the team is clutch.
It's like, I'll pitch around Alvarez.
No, I'm sorry. Except for Altuve.
Yeah.
Has he got a hit
off
yet?
the schneid. Yeah, he got
did.
off the schneid yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for, what was it, 26, 25, something like that?
Just imagine not losing a game and Altuve doesn't have a hit.
Yeah.
When you
Worst
look at
drought
it,
of his career.
when you look at it that way, it's very easy to say, Yeah, they're winning the World Series. Like, how can you beat a team whose best player hasn't got a hit yet? Because when he clicks, it's just a whole new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Schwarber was the same way in their first series, like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's fine. Because like the first series was won by Bryce Harper. And now it looks like the second one was too, but Schwarber also contributed. And Rhys Hoskins went off.
488 feet.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. But like the same sort of thing goes when you say that. Like I was saying the same thing about the Yankees. I was like, yeah, they squeezed by Cleveland. But imagine if Judge started hitting.
Mm-hmm.
They could have made you know what I mean? And it's the same sort of thing with Altuve and I was trying to think Soto, which he started to go off, which is which made that series. Dude, it was a 3-1 Philly win. Like a 4-1 Philly win. And yet it was the most entertaining postseason baseball as far as back and forth.
Game 4 was unreal.
That was unbelievable. And it was like, oh, San Diego's really got this. Oh, wait, no. But like even all of those games have been, the game 1 that went to Philly, it was 2-0. It was a pitcher's duel. It was crazy. Game 2 was nuts. Game 3 could have went either way. But then like Philly just found a way. I mean, well, Hoskins and Harper, man, just unreal. And it's, I guess the way, yeah. But I guess the way, like the reason I'm saying this is because it's a 4 games to 1 victory for the Phillies, but yet San Diego was in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, it's not like they got blasted.
No, not at all.
And I just feel like the other series, the Houston-New York series, has been like, yeah, neither team's really impressing me other than pitching. But like when you think of, I mean, you can't win without scoring. So let's talk about scoring. Let's talk about offense. Neither team is like, it's just been like, oh, Bregman had that 3-run homer. That's all they did. Bregman hit a 3-run homer and they won. Otherwise it would have went to New York. And it's like, okay.
That was in like the first inning, wasn't it?
That's all they did.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like they scored 3 runs in the first inning and that's it.
I don't remember that exactly. It could have been, but still the point is like that's all they needed. It just hasn't been as impressive as what we're seeing. The epic moments and stuff in the other series have just been unreal. It's like, the Padres just took a 2-run lead. That's nuts. And then it was like, oh, well, it's gone. Oh, and they scored 4. Now the Phillies have a 2-run lead. Like, Phillies are a team that was built for something like this. And we talked about this before. The best team in baseball does not win the World Series. The hottest team does. And the more I watch this, and I'm going to bring this a little bit more to relevance here, to our Pirate audience here. The more I watch these games and look at the amount of strikeouts and the amount of home runs that are making differences, the more I'm like, you know what? O'Neal Cruz is fine. All of these guys, when you get to this point in the season, the pitching is so good that it just does. It's a different team. A team that's built to win in the postseason is a team like Philadelphia, not a team like the Dodgers.
Right.
Dodgers are still built for it. They were just a little bit hurt at the time, and I think the days off really hurt them.
Right.
In the American League, it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like that, but maybe just because the teams that didn't get the bye in the National League were the Cardinals and the Cardinals really was the division winner that didn't get the bye versus the Guardians. And those teams are built a little bit different than these other teams.
Yeah.
And then, the Braves and the Dodgers, who are just like, they're all the way through and they're well-rounded. They're pitching, they're hitting, and it just felt like when they took a break, it hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Houston has been fine, but I think it speaks more to like the Guardians, the Mariners. The Blue Jays actually were a team that could have played this type of baseball.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that.
But like the Mariners they're not really that team either. And the Guardians are not that type of team that wins these types of games, apparently. I thought they had a run in them.
Mm-hmm.
But when it takes you 15 hits to score 6 runs, but you're just not going to win in the postseason that way. Not this year. And maybe that changes next year. Maybe this shift stuff is going to be huge.
I think it will be.
It's going to make a big impact on the game, I think. And it might take us 3 years to understand that impact.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing. We're actually going to talk about something later where there are some numbers that might back this up. But without spoiling anything, how much do we want to get into here? Because we just spent a lot of time talking about the postseason, which was supposed to be our last topic on the day. We're already bonkers on this thing. Pirates did some moves.
Yeah.
Claiming some waiver claims. Did we think that this offseason was going to be different
than the whole rest of the regular season?
Did we think that the Pirates were going to avoid waiver claims? Guys, we can still do other things and be claiming people on waivers. Jose Godoy designated for assignment. Ollie Sanchez claimed from Detroit, a catcher. So there's your catcher swap. And they did have a spot on the 40-man available for that spot. Bo Sulcer's back. Claimed.
I like that move, actually.
I just unplugged my headphones again, so I know you can hear me, but I can't. Anyway, Bo Sulcer was claimed by the Orioles from us earlier this season. Mm-hmm. We just got him back.
I like that.
Yeah. I think
there's a little bit there.
I think
it could help us eventually.
Anything that's really different. However, he is part of that. I don't really know. I feel like when we let him go, it was in favor of Tyler Beede. And we were like, when it happened, I believe. And if anybody wants to spend the time to go back on the archives, but I didn't feel like doing it. But I'm pretty sure we were like, I think I'd rather have Sulcer right now. Sulcer. I don't know what I'm saying here. Anyway, I'm still there. I'd rather have him. So we have him now. And Tyler Beattie's not here anymore. And so I'm here for it.
Yeah.
We got it in the end. We got what we thought was okay. So there's really nothing else to say about those. I mean, the catcher thing, it's going to happen because the catching position was really crazy. And
that's putting it nicely.
Yeah. So it's going to happen. And he may not even make it to spring training still on the team, depending on what happens along the way. If there's another trade or free agent situation or whatever, we don't know. So it is what it is, but get used to it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the big deal here. Ke'Bryan Hayes named a Gold Glove finalist. And I think if you would have asked me in May if that was going to happen, I would say probably not this year. And then when he got hurt, it was probably not this year. We're waiting for the day that he dethrones Nolan Arenado. And hoping, to be honest with you, and I'm going to inject this in here, hoping that it happens before Manny Machado does it, because Machado could. I feel like if there's like two guys, if you discount Hayes, those are the two.
Yeah.
Like Machado has to be in the running. Well, he's not.
He is not.
He is not. It is Ryan McMahon from the Rockies that is the third finalist along with Hayes and Arenado. And really, what is your inclination to say? It's Arenado's award to lose. Right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because
I had
wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I had a friend of mine text me this week, Josh. He listens, so sup, Josh. And he texted and said, and this was something that he'd heard, right? I'm not saying that he's like, hey, Ke'Bryan Hayes has no shot, but he said that he read that Ryan McMahon will get second and Hayes third. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, man, literally like 2 days before he said that, we had finished or whatever. What day did they announce this? I forget. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday.
It was 20th.
And I read an article because Monday, we use OneNote for our notes for the show. And so I had typed in there and I left it there because I just wanted to see this. Monday, I typed in Gold Glove Finalists announced on November 3rd, winners on November 8th. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, utility players being added this year, which we'll talk about, Ke'Bryan Hayes' chances. This was before he was even named as a finalist. I had been looking some stuff up and I was saying, okay, here it is, because we've talked about this and I want to be out ahead of it for the episode this week. I thought, let's talk about Ke'Bryan Hayes and his chances of the Gold Glove this year, because this is, when the postseason's going on and there's not, let's talk about it. And then like out of the blue, like a day or two later, they're like, here's the finalists. And I'm like, what happened to November 3rd? We're not even ahead of this. I was kind of thinking like, let's get out ahead of something for a change. And now we're not. But anyway, when I was looking up the numbers, I thought, holy crap, he might actually have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it surprised me when I looked at it because we all looked at it and said, oh, you made so many errors. I got 12 on all my papers. Jake, what do you got on Arenado's errors this year?
I don't have it.
Oh, it was an easy one. It was literally, I gave you a layup, dude.
Oh, that's right. It was 12. It was the same. That's right. I do remember that.
Manny Machado made less. 11. And of the qualified third baseman, Manny Machado made the least this year. And of course, I don't have that page pulled up. But yeah, of the qualified third baseman, which by the way, there's only 8 qualified third basemen this year.
Yeah, because McMahon made 17.
17 errors for Ryan McMahon. Now, some of his other numbers do look good, so I'll give him that. But as far as it goes, it's Manny Machado at the very bottom of the error list. However, his fielding percentage is .966 and Ke'Bryan's is .972. Of the 8 qualified third basemen, that's the highest, .972. Followed by Nolan Arenado at .968 and then Manny Machado. So if you were a Gold Glove voter, more on this later, you would say Ke'Bryan Hayes wins, Nolan Arenado gets second, Manny Machado gets third. Because we're looking at fielding percentage.
Right.
Oh, but you don't just look at fielding percentage? More on that later. We have a fun one. And yeah. Anyway. Okay. Putouts. Ke'Bryan Hayes. Oh, you know what? I got some new thing for the viewers.
I was wondering.
Yeah, thanks. For the viewers on YouTube, there's some stats up there. Led all of MLB on defensive run saves. Led National League third baseman in putouts, 109. Assists, 307. Fielding percentage, .972. We just talked about that. And the Fangraphs defensive WAR has him at 16.8, which also leads the way. His ultimate zone rating is 6.3, which is actually the big thing because Nolan Arenado's is 13. Errors 12, double plays 36. Nolan Arenado has a few more double plays than he does. So if you're a double play yeek, then you understand that Nolan Arenado has a little bit of edge there. I'm really starting to slur Arenado tonight. Defensive runs saved, Nolan Arenado has 19. Okay, Ryan McMahon, if you want me to bring his up too, he has 11. Okay, I will bring them up just because he's also a finalist, even though one of these is not like the rest. You know what?
Right.
You know how those go.
Right.
But yeah, Arenado's UZR is 13 compared to the 6.3 of Key. So that's also another thing. But defensive WAR, 15.3 versus Key Bryant's 16.8. By the way, McMahon's is a 9.9. And I'm telling you, Manny Machado is an 8.5. Manny Machado's defensive run saves are -3. So when you talk about, like I was talking about Machado and the no errors and things like that, like, no, his UCR is -0.8. Like, Manny Machado made less errors, but he's really not on this list. And that surprised me. I know he's better than that. I didn't look up his previous years, but apparently there's a reason why he's not on the finalist this year. And Ryan McMahon actually did show up in some of these. Outs above average, 18 for Key, 15 for Arenado, 10 for McMahon. Machado, 8, right? And then the rest of the people on this qualified list are in the negatives. But the point is like, yeah, Machado still shows up some places, but, you know, not others. Runs above average, it's the same. It's Key, it's Arenado, it's McMahon. There's a lot of things that point to Key Brian Hayes, and I'm sitting here saying, like, I didn't think that that's what I would have seen.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, he started off rough, and it was rough for, you know, the whole first month. But
5 errors in May.
Yeah. It didn't look like it was going to be his year, but when it all, you know, everything ruffles out, dude showed up. He's hard on himself.
And I think
sure
we've
when he
become
started off like that, it's, you know, he was not happy about it.
I think we've become hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Harrison Bader's on another level. He just hit a home run. It's 5-4 Yankees. It'd be a 3-0 series if the rest of the Yankees played like Harrison Bader. Anyway, so, you know, with a few things kind of leaning towards Nolan Arenado in that, how do you legitimately feel about his chances?
I mean, I feel good. Like, the only thing that Arenado is really better at is the UZR. And
the things that are
thing.
around that. Not even a real thing. Here we go. Neither are defensive runs saved if you want to go there.
I just don't like advanced metrics. I don't like them. You can, let's do this. This will change it a little bit and we can get, you know, this stat.
So without it though, because, you know, like, okay, so this becomes, no, this is good, but this becomes a conversation about advanced fielding statistics because they are weird and there's a lot of things that go into it. And, you know, we're trying to understand it more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're young enough to get into this. When it comes to the UZR stuff, and there's kind of the two different, there's the defensive run save, there's the UZR, there's which is better, how are they different, aren't they somewhat the same? We looked up some of this stuff, right? 60% chance, or 60% of the league made that catch. So if you make that catch, you're only better than 40%. So you get a rating of 0.4, right? And that's, what was that? Was that the UZR stuff? Yeah, defensive run saved is a little bit different where it talks about the plus minus and yes, they're confusing, but defense is really confusing because if you look at fielding percentage and you're like, yeah, but this guy doesn't get to half the balls that I get to. Right. So I might make an error on a ball that he would have never even got to. Right? And that's where Manny Machado kind of came into play a little bit this year. on some of these things where it's like, I mean, he didn't fare too well on this season, right? On some of these plays. And you know what? I am going to break into that a little bit. We don't have an order of things here, right? We're halfway through the podcast today. We're already out of whack, but let's bring that up. And, I started thinking and I was looking back through because something very similar to this happened back in 2005. We grew up watching Jay Bell for a, large portion, but as we kind of got older and everything, we saw a lot of Jack Wilson, and Pirates fans, we loved Jack Wilson. How many Gold Gloves did Jack Wilson win? I don't have my
0.
crickets. It's 0. You're exactly right. It's 0. He didn't win any. And so I started looking at the numbers and I was like, dude, I remember him being really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought somewhere along the line, he might have had a shot. Jack Wilson came into the league 2001. Yeah, he played 108 games. He was in the league in 2001. I would say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
Came
fair.
in the league with PNC.
With PNC. So 2003, 4, 5, this is when he was like a regular and we really thought like, yeah, this dude's a great shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until 2005 that Omar Vizquel came into the National League. So it's not even like, it's not that, because he was with Cleveland clear to the point is that in 2005 and 2006, but 2005 specifically, we're talking about it, 38-year-old Omar Vizquel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, won his 10th Gold Glove in 2005. We just talked about the numbers that we talked about, so I'm going to keep those relevant and talk about the 2005 season with shortstops. And trust me, guys, stay with me. I have a reason for this. The fielding percentages of shortstops, qualifying shortstops in the National League in 2005, Omar Vizquel with a 988. Jack Wilson was third with a 982. Omar Vizquel made 8 errors and Jack Wilson made 14. Jack Wilson also, if you want to start looking at other things other than fielding percentage, 120 double plays to Omar Vizquel's 75. 246 putouts to his 234. 522 assists to Omar Vizquel's 426. Those are all Jack Wilson favored numbers, right? But those are still standard statistics. Well, how about getting into the other ones? Defensive WAR, Fangraphs defensive WAR. Now, I just said, first off, 120 double plays, that can't be right. Ke'Bryan Hayes, well, it's a different position. It's a different position.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't look at those kind of
Especially
numbers.
when you're talking about double plays.
When you're talking about double plays, you're talking about those kind of numbers. That's a different position. But these other things are not. Ke'Bryan Hayes led all of baseball with 24 defensive runs saved. All positions, not just third base, right? All positions, I'm pretty sure. That is, I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
2022 defense, yes. Next was Brendan Rodgers, the second baseman for the Rockies. And then Aristides Aquino? Are you kidding me? I didn't know that. I didn't know that about your game. Jack Wilson's defensive WAR, we just said Ke'Bryan Hayes' was 16.8. His was 21.3. Omar Vizquel's was 13.5. UZR for Arenado, 13. Ke'Bryan Hayes is what, 6.3, I think I said? Yeah, it's up on the screen there, 6.3. Jack Wilson, 14.3. Omar Vizquel, 6.9. Okay. How about that defensive run saved? Because Jack Wilson had 32 in 2005. 32. And he didn't lead the league, by the way. I have that number somewhere. Not going to look for it. Oh, there it is. I found it. Jeff Francoeur with 36, and Andrew Jones and Jack Wilson with 32. I'm just going to click on those two real quick here and see if they won a Gold Glove in 2005. Frank Gore got Rookie of the Year. No, he was third in Rookie of the Year. 2005. Yeah, Andrew Jones won a Gold Glove in 2005. So Jack Wilson's right there. Do you know how many defensive runs saved Omar Vizquel had in 2005? Huh.
He had
1. Dude, he was 31 less than Jack Wilson. Okay.
This is like the definition of a snub.
This is the definition of a snub. Now, why? And here's where we bring it all back. Why do you think... I looked up the Giants that year. They weren't that good. Pirates lost, 95-ish games? Somewhere around there in 2005. So it doesn't have anything to do with team. But it does have a little bit something to do with something else, right?
Yeah, just as, he's won it a lot.
That's his 10th.
So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to dethrone Arenado.
So after looking at that, I know that's 2005. And I know that more people are paying attention to different things now. I think that, 2005 isn't that long ago. People knew about Jack Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, well, the media, like people have so much access to, like you can see Key Brian Hayes' stuff if you want to, where back in 2005, maybe you weren't. No. 2005 is like not ancient. You were able to look stuff up if you wanted to. Maybe not as easily. Maybe not as easily as today. But
listen, it wasn't that long ago. That's when I graduated high school.
Yeah, I know, right? I was already out. Dang it! I was already out of college. Anyway. But some of that is still true. How many does Arenado have already? I don't think I have his baseball. Listen, for all of you out there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight.
And how many years has he been in the league?
And on.
How many years has he been in the league?
The last third baseman. Here's a good one. Who's the last third baseman in the National League to win a Gold Glove other than Arenado?
So 2012 National League third base. Holy cow. Who was playing in 2012? I'm not going to guess it. Give me his initials. Let's play this game. Give me his initials. No.
C8.
Just tell me. What?
Tell you what. Who he played for?
Yeah.
Padres.
What was his initials in?
CH.
CH?
Mm-hmm.
For the San Diego Padres.
Played 159 games at a 976 fielding percentage.
I don't know. I'm not going to think about it.
Chase Headley.
Oh, okay. Chase Headley. Wow.
I mean, I know you knew who he was.
Yeah, but you weren't going to think of that. Oh, wow. Yeah, because Nolan Arenado came into the league in 2013. He's won a Gold Glove every single year he's played.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never played in the major leagues without winning a Gold Glove. So, if the numbers are close, do writers just give it to him?
Yeah, I don't know.
And now
it's tough.
And now he plays for St. Louis, which I think weighs because that's a beloved franchise. If he was still with Colorado, they'd be like, sure, give it to Pittsburgh. What's the difference? You know what I mean? But the fact that he plays for St. Louis, I think makes it a little bit harder because they want to promote the team that was in the postseason. If you think that they're thinking that way.
Right. The other part of me wants to say they might, man, I don't know. They might give it to Key Brian Hayes on the fact that dude was better in every other category. Let's get somebody else a Gold Glove for once.
Yeah. Hey, little change here.
Yeah.
Or give Arenado something to something to up his game. If it's, hey, dude, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Step it up a little bit. I don't know. I always wonder what these voters are thinking, because there isn't it's not like, well, he led the league in home runs because he had more than the next guy. It's not that. This is like you get to vote. Which I think defensively, I think Gold Glove, I think that's good. Because I think there's part of it to just to say, like, you got more chances, or I don't know. It's just not easy. I feel like
they're going to look more at the defensive WAR because they love WAR, and the defensive runs saved. I think those are going to be the two biggest categories these voters look at.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are just single. Like UZR tells you the right. It depends on if you're like a believer in one and not the other. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Baseball Reference WAR, defensive WAR, is entirely different. Like it's 16.8 on one, and his defensive WAR, defensive wins above replacement for position players on Baseball Reference is a 3.0. Like it's just entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how the difference between Fangraphs and Baseball Reference goes, but it's a difference of
what was
13.
Arenado's on Baseball Reference?
2.4 versus 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
And 1.2, I think, for McMahon. McMahon doesn't have a shot to win this award, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not even close. He will not get a single first place vote. Not a single one. I think this is going to be close between Arenado and Ke'Bryan Hayes. And I said something about, I was checking Twitter out when the Pirates made the announcement, and somebody put a thing up that said, like, are you serious? And it was something, like, I can't believe this or whatever it was. And so I'd just been looking all this stuff up, right? We were going to talk about this week. So I was like, you're going to be really surprised when he wins it. You know what I mean? With that, I didn't want to just like put it out there, but I wanted to have a little fun with it. I said, you're going to be really surprised when he wins it. And all he sent was the emoji with the laughing and the crying. And I just tweeted back. I was like, it's closer than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he made a ton of errors. That's fine. Arenado made the same amount.
And 12 isn't a ton.
And Arenado did it in less tries. Like, that's the thing. Ke'Bryan Hayes had a better fielding percentage than him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're old school and you say who had the best fielding percentage, well, then it goes to Key. I don't know, man. Yep. I think that
he's got a really good shot.
He is a good shot, and some of the numbers really favor him. And I think at the same time, if Arenado gets it, it's the same thing that happened in 2005 with Omar Vizquel and Jack Wilson. It's literally just his track record makes me say it's him. Mm-hmm. I think if this was Ryan McMahon with the numbers that Ke'Bryan has, I think I go with the track record and say they're going to pick Arenado. But like the people that vote on this, they're not in a dungeon somewhere. They know Ke'Bryan Hayes is coming and he's great. Yeah. So I just don't think that they're surprised by it. And I think that's what gives him the edge here. Not what gives him the edge, but that takes Arenado's edge away.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to look at it and say, he's worthy. They're both worthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. We used up most of the time there. I think that's good. I think that's what we thought was going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got another thing that we're going to talk about, but before we do, why don't we go ahead and just take a short break and then hit it up. Good?
Good.
Thanks for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2 Buctober. Audio podcast available on your favorite podcast platform. Video podcast available on YouTube. Follow us on the socials and subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, take a couple minutes for a review. We'll be right back. And we're back here, Bridge to Buctober podcast. Spent a lot of time talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes and the Gold Glove and whether he has a shot or not. And really, I'd like to hear from you guys. Let us know. Bridge, number 2 Buctober. You just heard it. Get with us. Let us know if you think he has a shot. Well, I know, like I said, some people already told us that he doesn't. So even though they probably didn't look it up. But either way, wanted to take a look a little bit here at some of the free agent class. This is the offseason after all. And we have no idea if the Pirates are going to play in this game or not, right? We have no clue. But just to take a look at it, because I know that like we think about it a lot and it's saying we've already heard him say catcher, first base, and starting pitching is actually he just said pitching, but I think we understand starting pitching. Those are things that are a need. You and I have talked in the past about corner outfield, about getting a right-handed bat possibly, or at least a better version of a Ben Gamble, like somebody who's played in the major leagues more than this year and that can just go out there and play, but like be better than Ben Gamble was.
Yeah.
Right. That could actually be there and say, this is our guy. And then trade him in July and then let young guys play more. A way to just, the thing is if you don't win more games with the young guys there, are they really getting better? So you have to put somebody on the field.
Right.
That's going to help you win games, because while these players are taking their lumps just because they're young, we also want them to be able to win some games.
Yeah.
This is what we want.
Learn from some veteran guys.
Yeah. So we take a look at these. Where do you want to start? We're talking catchers, corner outfield, first base, pitchers. Where do you want? Where do you want to start?
Just start with the catchers.
Start with the catchers. Roberto Perez is the most popular opinion here. There's been a lot of people saying, just bring him back and give him a shot to actually play with us. And I feel that. Where are you at on Roberto Perez?
I just think it's a waste of money. He's not going to stay on the field.
Okay. There you go.
I think he's a great catcher. I think he would be a great option if he could stay healthy. So sure, if your doctors and you've been with him for a whole season now, as far as your doctors, your trainers, your staff. So if they feel like, hey, he's in a good place or he's going to be in a good place, then I get it.
Does it matter that none of his injuries are they're not together. Like they don't have anything to do with the last one.
That to me, that makes it worse.
Okay.
Then he is straight up just injury prone. It's not like
it's not something that's lingering and you're saying like he's going to have problems with his elbow. He always has problems with his elbow. But I think that when it's different things, I get what you're saying. That's a good point. I think sometimes I might say like, yeah, I mean, it sucks for him. But like when he's on the field, he's a productive player. I think the salary goes down from where it was last year. And I think that like no catchers catch more than 100 games anymore. 110 games. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not a thing.
Right.
I think if you can get somebody else to really be 50-50 with him, then you can keep him healthy a little bit longer. I know that there's no such thing as 50-50. There's 5 starters. Typically what you would do is you would say, you get these 2, you get these 3. And then they start based on who's pitching.
Yeah.
And then if you're the guy who gets 3 and one of your guys go down, then maybe for a while the other guy gets that new guy until he comes. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of balance things out. Mm-hmm. And it depends on who you get. And you don't know where these guys are going to be. You know that Christian Vasquez is going to be available. He's a guy that I've talked about before. I think you echo these thoughts. He's probably the best one there. It reminds me of when Russell Martin was the best one available. Mm-hmm. We had proven that we can win more games in 2012 before we signed Martin, right? Mm-hmm. We proved there were some wins there before we made that signing. We haven't proven that yet, so I just don't know if the timing is bad.
Right.
But
he has gone on record saying he's going to look for a place where he can play more.
Yeah,
he's going to play more in Pittsburgh.
Well, he's certainly going to play more, but he was playing more in Boston. He was the starter in Boston. Right. They traded him, and then he just didn't get the opportunity on a possible World Series team. Last time I talked about Harrison Bader at home run. Astros are already winning again. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's like, oh, you took the lead? Hang on. It's like the Astros. Every time you score more than them, they say, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And then they score more again. Like, oh, that was cute. You scored 2. Here's 2 for us too.
Yeah.
They're only good when they need to be, I guess. But either way, Vasquez is just not playing much. And that's just because they already had a catcher. And now, sure, I get that.
Right.
A couple other guys. I mean, Zunino's out there. We've kind of talked about him in the past. He might be a little expensive, but it'd be a 1-year deal for him coming off a bad year. Gary Sanchez, same sort of thing. Austin Hedges has shown that he wants to go back to Cleveland. There's some talk there, but he's also just available. So who knows if he actually doesn't. He's a guy who doesn't hit well, but is great with a pitching staff. And once again, the same thing I said about Roberto Perez coming from Cleveland, he's catching a very good pitching staff there.
Right.
And in the very short time that Roberto Perez was on the field, we were impressed with that aspect of his game. We thought he was good for the pitchers.
Yeah.
Maybe Austin Hedges is one of those same sort of things, good for the pitchers. To be honest with you, when I watch these games and I think, man, this game is pitching. It's always been pitching, right? But right now, it's like critical. I don't know, man. I think that defense has to be the way to go. If you can add a defensive catcher with some pop,
right,
then I think you have the makings of exactly what you need. Gary Sanchez, you got the pop, but you don't have the defense. Zunino, Perez, Christian Vasquez is a little more all around. I mean, the catching position offensively is just down.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if they would even play in the Christian Vasquez realm this year. And if not, I mean, to be honest with you, as much as you just argued against it, I'm still kind of like, just get Roberto Perez again. He's shown interest in coming back. We know he was good with the pitchers. The salary is down a little bit from the year before because the injuries, and you can just say, like, let's give it another go. Eventually,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know. If you can play, I would prefer Perez and Vasquez. If you could,
I mean, if you're not, and I don't know. I just think if you can get him, if he wants to come back, and you can get him back for somewhat of a cheap price,
$3 million.
I don't hate the move.
He was $5 million last year, right? $5 or $6 million, $3 million.
I just don't think he's going to be healthy.
And that's fair. Maybe you put some kind of incentive in there. Maybe start him off at $2 million and then tell him if he plays this many games, he gets $3 million. If he plays this many, he gets $4 million. If he plays this many, he gets $5 million.
You could do that. I mean, there's a lot of structuring you can do there.
Sure. Anyway, I mean, spent a lot of time on that. I still think that's important, but to me, the biggest thing is first base. Pitching, but first base to me. And when I look at the list, I say Trey Mancini's priced himself out of this thing. Carlos Santana's too old. Miguel Sano and Eric Hosmer, you don't even know if they're going to be free agents. Josh Bell's outpriced us. Jesus Aguilar is not anything. Jose Abreu's old, but still pretty interesting. Brandon Drury's more of a third baseman. Like, dude, I just named everybody on this list on this graphic I have on the YouTube, and I'm not in love with any of them. What the heck are you going to do at first base?
Right.
I don't know. This is where I turn to Twitter and say, who's got a trade?
Yeah.
Who's out there that has a trade that can tell me who is out there tradable? Because you ain't getting any of these guys. It's just not going to happen. We're going to Michael Chavis there again.
I still think it'd be interesting if Bellinger opts out, or if the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that before.
The club option.
I don't know if he's like really saying I want to play center field. That's the other interest. As I said, he'd be our best center fielder, and we'd put him at first base. But
right.
Kind of because of time, we talked about these other ones. Corner outfield, do you have a quick and dirty here? Does it have to be a right-handed hitter if you're going to spend money?
I don't think it has to, but I prefer right-handed.
Like, I'm not going to take a chance on Joey Gallo because he's left-handed. But I might still bring in like a Jock Peterson to play because he's going to play well. If you bring in Jock Peterson, it's more of a flip situation. Like, I'm signing you until July.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some other players out of you and give you a chance to prove yourself again. And you can just mash and help me win games. And then in July, I'll trade you for 2 prospects, and then you can go into the playoffs.
I get what you're saying, but I think he's priced himself out.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe. Why not?
A pretty solid year.
Yeah, but that's what you want. You want a solid year on a 1-year deal. And this is how you spin it to Jock Peterson, because you're like, dude, eventually this guy's going to want to get locked in somewhere. Except he went and signed with a team who won 137 million games last year and didn't make the postseason. And Jock Peterson's best moments live in the postseason.
Right.
So if he goes and signs with a team who's not going to the postseason, like you already know that,
right?
Then in July, I can trade you to a team who's very likely to. And so, like, for me, it's like, you mean I can go down in Pittsburgh, kind of be behind the scenes a little bit, help them win a few ball games, have some fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in July, the landscape is already laid. And I can go to a team who is at least pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Guy goes down, Jock Peterson comes in, we get a couple pitchers from their AAA team, and hopefully it's better than that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To me, that's the appeal. If Jock Peterson wants to be in the postseason, the best route to the postseason is sign with a team who's not going.
Yeah, I get that.
Because then you let half the season. Just think about those guys that signed. I mean, he signed with San Francisco to go to the postseason. Correa could have been in the postseason, but he did his thing with Minnesota because they were going.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that there's a motivation there, and you could just skip the guess and go straight to this team's on their way.
Yeah.
Much like he did with the Cubs moving to Atlanta.
I wouldn't mind a JD Martinez if you could get him for the right price, playing in right field.
Okay. So for me, it's Andrew McCutchen again. I know we talked about last year. It's never going to happen. I'm not going to fall in love with it, but I still think it's a great fit. We need a right-hander. He can play right field. He can DH. Now that we have the DH, he's not too old for a 3-year contract, a 2-year with an option. And just let him retire, and he can still DH. He's still going to play. He's still going to hit. If he's a 4th outfielder by the time this thing's over, you front load the contract. It's a win-win. You put butts in seats. Come on, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Bob. You know that's all you care about. Dang it, Bobby. We need that clip, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I had a week. We talked about it last week. I didn't do it. And the last thing we talk about here is starting pitching, and then we'll get out of here. Do you have anything here? I've been on record saying that we need to sign Jose Quintana. It needs to be a 2-year deal. Pay him what he wants.
Yeah,
he's too good for the team. I don't think that you're gonna get hurt. I know
he enjoyed his time in Pittsburgh, and he's showed that he wouldn't mind coming back as well as they wouldn't mind having him back.
Right. I'm not going more than 2. But I'm getting him a 2-year deal. He's going to get me there. If he's not as good as he was this year, which is likely, he's not going to be that good. But if he's remotely close, and he was good for our pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a good fit. I think you go back to Q, you sign him for 2.
Yeah.
Now, Seems like Sherrington's motivated to do more than that. Andrew Heaney, maybe. Sean Manaea is probably a little bit too much. That Nick Martinez, who's been in the bullpen here in the postseason.
For the Padres.
Maybe he's looking for that starting role again. Maybe that's a guy that you give a shot to. And of course, there's some other guys on that list. I've seen a lot of people say it's probably going to be Keuchel and he's probably going to be terrible, and that's fair.
I hope not.
I get it. Mike Clevenger would be interesting. Injuries and then give him. Yeah, but it's a 1-year deal kind of a thing. You can't get hurt. We had Trevor Cahill do that. It was really bad, and it was like give him a shot. It's $1 million. Now Clev probably be a little bit more than that, but. You're probably not playing in Chris Bassett money. You're probably not playing Tyler Anderson after what he just did.
Right.
I don't know. Be interesting if J-Mo was a free agent next year, not this year. Maybe there'd be something there, but certainly wouldn't be happy if I was J-Mo.
Probably priced himself out too.
He didn't really get a chance to really. Well, I guess he pitched in game 1 of this series, huh? But he got beat.
Yeah, but his regular season was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. He was outshined by some of the other guys, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. If you're looking for a guy that make a difference, could he be that guy? Could he come back? He just missed all the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
He came up after we were out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I tend to forget that. I thought he was part of it because he was part of the conversation.
Right.
And he missed it all. All right, let's move on. Let's get towards wrapping this thing up. I know you had one more thing here.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on some of our top prospects here. Henry Davis,
Arizona Fall League, right?
Yeah, Henry Davis, Nick Gonzalez. They're out there playing in the Arizona Fall League. This is just position players. There's a couple more, but they haven't played yet. They're the only 2 guys that actually been on the field. Henry Davis has got 30 at-bats. He's got 9 hits. Listen, 9 hits. Out of those 9 hits, he's got 5 doubles and a home run. Guy's got power. He struck out 9 times, walked 6, but he's batting 300. He's doing just fine. Against in the Arizona Fall League, we talked about this beforehand. It's like the cream of the crop of the prospect pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you only get to send
7.
Yeah.
6 or 7 guys. Nick Gonzalez, he's got 37 at bats with 10 hits, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 10 RBIs. We'll throw in that Henry Davis also has 2 stolen bases and has not been caught. Gonzalez in that department's 1-1.
So you're talking back-to-back first rounders, right?
Mm-hmm.
These guys, do you consider these guys as critical to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To our organization?
Yeah. Like if these guys don't pan out, does it kill us?
No. I think if Henry Davis doesn't pan out, it kind of kills us.
I mean, Andy Rodriguez is just lighting the world on fire right now.
Yeah.
And catching position is, we just talked about it. Like it's not great anyway.
If you have Endy and Henry Davis as your 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I mean.
And Endy can play other positions as well.
Yeah, he's doing that a little bit. And I mean, either one of them can DH. You might be on that. You might be into a world where you're carrying 3 catchers.
Well, like you might even be in the world like the Dodgers did this year. Dodgers carried 2 catchers, but a lot of times they had Will Smith catching and who's the other one? Oh, I can't think of his name. Barnes?
Either way.
Yeah. One of them would be catching, the other one would be DHing. And then if they had to pull the catch, if they had to actually make their DH the catcher, they would just go back to old school National League and just pinch it for the pitchers. Yeah. Because it was usually only 1 at bat anyway.
Right. Yeah, so, you're changing your bullpen out every inning too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're both in the lineup. And then, but that's typically when you have a defensive catcher and then a hitting catcher like if Henry Davis's defense doesn't come around, he's the guy that DHs, and then you have your defense first catcher, and then later you pinch hit for him so that you can get a bat in there, and then that pinch hitter gets lifted for the pitcher, and Henry Davis goes behind the plate and stays in the lineup. Right. That's typically why that's handled there. Right now, it looks like both of them are hitting first catchers.
Right.
And so you're trying to add a Roberto Perez type guy, or, you know what I mean, one of these defensive first catchers to basically say, you're catching until I need to pinch hit for you.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, that's why I'm saying you go to 3 catchers so that you can get both those guys in the lineup, and then you still have a backup catcher if one of them's playing first or DHing and somebody gets hurt. You can still, I mean, you could anyway, because you could, well, you can't change positions if one of them's, that's the other thing is you got to be able to, if the DH is going to be here, he should be a position. I should be able to say like, oh, he's going to go into first. My first baseman is going to go to DH.
Yep.
It's ridiculous that you can't do that.
Yep.
It's
I believe I stated that a long time ago.
We've had that conversation. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, so you, and then, I mean, we've talked about how many second basemen are there right now. As far as when you think Nick Gonzalez and everything, you know what I mean? So, I mean, like, these are guys that we're following very closely because they have the ability to be big-time impact players. Which another one that's at the Arizona Fall League is Quinn Priester, pitching-wise. Mm-hmm. Could be, I mean, we're talking 2023 debut for this guy, I think.
Yeah, he's not faring great right now, but I don't know. I don't have the game breakdowns.
Yeah, he just pitched 2 innings the other day, and it was good. Gave up a hit, had 2 strikeouts.
I know he started 4 games, 15 innings, giving up 14 hits. 8 earned, 2 home runs. Like, it doesn't look great.
But he could have got rocked in one game.
Right.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, all I know is, like, I just see some stuff on Twitter of him, like, striking out this other top prospect, and I was like, this is a big, and I'm like, oh, he must be doing really good. I looked at it, I was like, 450. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? But, like, it's 15 innings, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Omar Cruz is our other guy we have out there. He's throwing 8.2 innings to a 104 clip. Okay. 5 games, giving up 4 hits, struck out 7, but he's walked 8. So he's always getting himself out of jams. Once again, very small samples. It is what it is. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll follow it up to, like, I think there's 30 games or so. And maybe we'll check into, like, I mean, I think Andy and some of the other prospects are playing in the Dominican Winter League. And I feel like somebody was going to go play in Mexico this offseason, but I don't know. Wait, what's going on with the game here? They're just doing slow-mo stuff right now with a bunch of Astros smiling. Did they score more? Did they win? Nope, they're still playing. Rafael Montero's coming in. I just thought maybe if we finish this thing off, we knew. But no, that's all we have. The World Series. Not how we're set up. It's not, no. The World Series starts on Friday. They'll play Friday and Saturday, and then we'll be back on the mics on Sunday for their day off. I'm assuming it's Houston, and we already know it's Philly. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming Houston because they have a 3-0 lead. So even if the Yankees come back and win this game, you know, it's probably Houston. If not, we're going to have a lot to talk about next week as far as the Yankees go. But who you got? Let's assume Houston, Philly. I just said Philly.
Yeah, you like I mean, Houston hasn't lost yet.
I know. But
if they wrap this up, you've got 4 days off for both teams. Mm-hmm. That's going to hurt Philly more.
Yeah, 100%.
Red hot right now, and if maybe this they just
true.
But they're also going to have 4 days of feeling real good because they just, I mean, Hoskins and Bryce Harper just hit homers, and Schwarber's starting to hit some bombs. I don't know, man. They're heating up.
Mm-hmm.
Real
But like you
Muto.
said, we got 4 days off.
I know. But like,
Tough.
but that's 4 days of feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And your head's going to be like, you're still going to be feeling good on Friday. I think when it comes to the World Series, like you're still, I don't know, man. There was all those.
It should be a fun series too.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Here's the thing. You just said Houston has had I'm not going to say they've had an easy road. They haven't. They've just won every game, so it feels that way. But you just said they're a team full of clutch players, and right now that's what Philly looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a wild one.
Yeah.
Or it could.
I just don't even want to pick.
No, just watch it.
Because it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Houston's been dominant, man. You got to pick, though, because we have to be wrong about something.
I'm going to pick Philly.
I'll be rooting for Philly, I think.
But
I know
you think the Astros are going to win?
No, I don't, because
you got to pick too.
No, I know. I think it's Philly because I have just been less impressed. Now, Houston hasn't needed to be impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Just been a little bit less impressed with the American League teams in general. Just these two, really. Because some of the National League teams were less. It's been very boring. And the New York Yankees games, they take way too long.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. But yeah, no, I don't. Should be fun, but it's Philly for me. I think this is baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it necessarily is always I just think the regular season and playoff baseball is different. And maybe as baseball fans, maybe we should value that regular season in a different way. Because I know that there are, Dodger fans have been vocal, like, this is dumb playing these 5 games. I'm like, dude, it's 5 games. Like, that's the legitimate series.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you just said, if there was more emphasis, if there was more fanfare around being the best team in the regular season, then maybe you lessen some of that. Like, dude, you still won a lot. Like, you still won the whole regular season, the marathon of 162. You were number 1, and that counts. And that you get something for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than a bye where you have to wait 5 days to play your next game.
Yeah.
Which is still an advantage. It's just harder to stay game ready. But
yeah, I get that.
But dude, to be healthy, I don't know. All right. We're both picking Philly then. That's not fun, but we're both picking Philly, and Houston's probably going to win in 4 games. So just because we did that. Sorry, Ryan. Not that he'll listen to this, but. All right. Until next week. It's kind of weird to say in the off season, but I'll always say it. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!